Hey, Dr. Shin, this is Jacob Siebert, and with me today is the rest of our 4 p.m. Appraisal Group 4, also known as CU Tiger Appraisals LLC. And today we're going to be talking about our subject house in Fort Mill, South Carolina. Slide. So our house is in a neighborhood called Massey within Fort Mill. It's on the southern edge of Fort Mill. And what makes this location so great is there's an elementary school, a middle school, and a high school all within 3 miles of the house. The neighborhood itself has a water slide, it has a gym, it has a lot of trails attached within the neighborhood. But what makes Fort Mill such a great place to live is it's also the location of the top public school district in South Carolina. It's also one of the most northern cities in South Carolina, as it's just south of Charlotte. So a lot of families live in the area because of the distance to work in Charlotte, as that's a very growing industry and has a lot of new finance and banking jobs, as well as being such a great place to raise a family with a 2,100 acre large greenway that's a public trail for residents, and with the schools in the area. Slide. Within the neighborhood of Massey, we found 6 comparable houses. And just like a lot of the neighborhoods within Fort Mill, there is a decent bit of variation between house to house. But what we were able to find is a lot of common characteristics with these houses within the neighborhood, as well as enough information for us to do a decent sales comparable approach, which Anthony is going to talk more about. Slide.
Hey, I'm Anthony Sanders. So we made 6 adjustments to our comparables. They were bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, lot size, year built, and garage. So to do this, we used Zillow recently sold data. For bedrooms, we took houses with different amount of bedrooms, with same amount of bathrooms, and found a difference. One thing we did use, though, to weed out any other things that could skew our data was we used percentages of each difference, the average of the difference. So for bedrooms, we used 75% of the number we got. For bathrooms, we used 50%. For square foot, we broke it into bands of 225 square feet per house and got a difference, and we used 75% of that. For lot size, we used 50%, and we also used bands. And for year built, we just used 5,000, which was 100%. For garage, we didn't have to make any adjustments because all our houses had the same. And after everything, we got a comparable price of $259,909. Some challenges we had were finding different houses in each thing, because the recently sold data didn't always have a lot of houses during everything. And then we also had to figure out those percentages, and we just did them like we felt bedrooms are more important than bathrooms because bathrooms can be shared and stuff like that. So that's what we made that decision based on. Slide.
Hey, I'm Mark Little, and my camera is broken, but we'll go on anyway. In the direct capitalization income approach, we used information gathered from websites such as Zillow, Trulia, and the Department of Numbers. Using these results, we calculated our potential gross income, effective gross income, and received a percentage, 8.97% for vacancy and collection losses. And then also found operating expenses through Zillow and the Homeowners Association fee within that website. And all together, we use that to find net operating income. Some of the challenges that we faced during the income approach was obtaining the information for operating expenses. It was hard to decide which website we would use, comparing between Zillow, Trulia, and other real estate valuation sites. And also, we had no info for a market rate cap, since that we had a house that was a single resident family. It's not normally used for just straight up income, so it's hard to find an actual source. So we ended up calculating the market cap rate using the information that we found through other websites. Slide.
Hi, I'm Connor Ashworth, and I did the discounted cash flow method. We had a couple of assumptions. We assumed a 10-year holding period, which is the average holding period for a house in this area. Since it is so residential and there are a lot of families, people don't move around too often. The NOI per year is the same as the previous slide. The discount rate is the 30-year fixed mortgage rate in America currently. And we also estimated the sale price at the end of the year. At the end of year 10 was 459,428, and we got that number by taking the NOI divided by the market cap rate, which we calculated in the previous slide. We also used the 3.980 to use to discount everything back to year one in the chart over to the right there. And the challenges. We had to assume constant market conditions because who knows, we might have another coronavirus here at the end of these 10 years. So you can't really account for stuff like, paying fixed rates anymore. So we also had to calculate the market cap rate like we did in the previous slide, which isn't really ready information since the residential of Fort Mill isn't really this house wasn't used for income generating. So slide.
Hey, this is Anthony Sanders again. So for the cost approach, it's more usually used for like government buildings, churches, schools, like special buildings. So we had to get three things here. First was the estimated replication cost. We used cost to build .net. You put in all the features of the house and location, and it tells you how much they think it would cost. Next, we had to figure out how long the house would last. And we found estimates that were usually 50 to 80 years. So we went the conservative 65. Lastly was how do we value land? So I called the tax assessor's office and they couldn't give me an answer on the average cost of land in Fort Mill. So I just picked 5 random properties in the area and averaged the price. And that's how we came up with that. And our price was $328,854 using the cost approach. Slide.
Hello, Lily. This is Jensen Graham, and I did a lot with COVID-19 and its effects on real estate. And one of the main struggles was finding specific information on Fort Mill itself. Although I was able to find impact on the state of South Carolina, and seen in the graph on the page from a website called showingtime.com. They listed the impacts of the virus in every single state, and in this specific graph, it shows the percentage from last year to this year and the impact. And you can see once it hits March, when the virus really took place, you can see the steep drop, and that's the same throughout every single state, really. And one thing that's a little different from the financial crisis in 2007, 2008 to now is that the government has implemented the CARES Act, where they have set aside billions of dollars to everything from local small businesses to, grocery stores to even the real estate market. And one of the strengths of looking up information was it was very broad for the country, and I was able to find stuff like Phoenix is almost 45% down in active listings, and that's pretty much the same for almost every big city in the U.S. Next slide.
Hi, this is Josh Driscoll. So to find our final price, we used the weight of 60% for the sales comparison, as this is the most appropriate for a residential house. Next, we use 30% for the cost approach, as well as not primarily used for residential housing. It is still gives us useful and relevant information. And then we used 5% for each of the direct cap and the discounted cash flow, because those are traditionally used for income generating properties, and this wasn't one of those. Using these weights, we got a final price of $259,909, which was low compared to the Zillow price of $354,821. The main reason for this was the last sold price for our property was in 2013, and that price was $267,000. As previously mentioned, Fort Mill has been a growing area, and so in the last 7 years, the price has gone up pretty dramatically. And the Zillow listed price is the price that similar properties have been selling for, not the sale price from 2013. So this is the biggest reason for our discrepancy. That is the end of our project, and thank you very much.